The water was killing her, and she didn't even know it. Linda thought she was being healthy. She had done everything right. She had left the city. She had bought the house with the well. She had chosen clean water over chlorinated municipal tap water that tasted like a swimming pool. She had chosen the country. She had chosen simplicity. She had chosen what she believed was better. She drank 8 glasses a day, because that is what you are supposed to do. Every single day for 3 years. The well had been on the property since 1962. The previous owners had used it their entire lives. Nobody had ever tested it. Nobody had ever suggested testing it. The real estate agent had mentioned it the way real estate agents mention things they consider selling points. Fresh, well water, natural, no treatment necessary. Linda had nodded and felt good about it. She moved in on a Saturday in October. She filled her first glass from the kitchen tap that evening. She drank it standing at the window, looking out at the trees. It tasted clean. It tasted like nothing. That is what good water tastes like, she told herself. Like nothing at all. She was right about that part. Arsenic tastes like nothing at all. Arsenic is not a product of human activity. Not always. Not in places like where Linda lived. It is older than industry. Older than agriculture. Older than the concept of contamination as something that requires a cause and a culprit and someone to blame. Arsenic is a naturally occurring element. Number 33 on the periodic table. Present in the Earth's crust at concentrations that vary enormously depending on the geology of a specific region. In certain rock formations, it is essentially absent. In others, it is abundant. And in the areas where it is abundant, it does what water-soluble minerals do when groundwater moves through rock over thousands of years. Dissolves. Slowly. Imperceptibly. At concentrations that leave no color in the water. No odor, no taste. No indication whatsoever that what you are drinking is anything other than exactly what it appears to be. Clean water. Natural water.
Water that tastes like nothing.
The United States Environmental Protection Agency sets the maximum contaminant level for arsenic in public drinking water at 10 micrograms per liter. 10 micrograms per liter is already a compromise between what is safe and what is achievable at scale across an entire national infrastructure. Private wells are not tested by the Environmental Protection Agency. Private wells are not tested by anyone unless the owner chooses to test them. Most owners never choose. Nobody tells them to. Nobody requires them to. The well on Linda's property contained arsenic at a concentration of 41 micrograms per liter. 4 times the maximum contaminant level for public water systems. Enough to cause measurable biological damage with consistent long-term exposure. Linda was consistently exposed every day. For 3 years, 8 glasses. Here is what arsenic does inside a human body over time. And this is the part that explains why it took 3 years for Linda to understand what was happening to her. Acute arsenic poisoning is dramatic. Large doses produce rapid and unmistakable symptoms. Severe gastrointestinal distress, vomiting, neurological effects. It announces itself. Chronic low-level arsenic exposure is something else entirely. It is quiet. It is cumulative. It is the kind of thing that looks like getting older, or stress, or a dozen other explanations that present themselves more readily than the possibility that the water you have been drinking every day for 3 years is poisoning you incrementally. Arsenic interferes with cellular energy production at the molecular level. It disrupts the enzymes responsible for producing adenosine triphosphate, which is the primary energy currency of every cell in your body. When those enzymes are disrupted, your cells cannot produce energy efficiently. The effect is not immediate collapse. It is a slow degradation. A dimming. A body that works less well than it used to for reasons that are genuinely difficult to trace back to a single cause. Arsenic also damages DNA directly. It inhibits the mechanisms that repair damaged genetic material. Over time, this allows mutations to accumulate that would otherwise be caught and corrected. The long-term consequence of this accumulation is an elevated risk of cancers of the skin and the bladder and the lungs. Not a guarantee. Significant elevation of risk. The difference between the risk profile of a person drinking clean water and a person drinking water at 41 micrograms per liter of arsenic for 3 years is not a small difference. It is a difference that shows up in population studies as a clear and consistent signal. It's a signal that says these people get sick more. It's a signal that says these people get certain cancers more. A signal that says the water they were drinking was not what they thought it was. Linda's symptoms began in the second year. It's not dramatically. It's not in a way that sent her to a doctor immediately. In the way that chronic poisoning always begins. With things that could be anything. It's fatigue that she attributed to working too hard. She was working hard. Fatigue made sense. Skin that seemed to be changing in ways she noticed, but could not quite describe. A roughness. A pattern of small dark spots appearing on her forearms and her torso that her doctor initially attributed to sun exposure and age. She was 44. Skin changes at 44 are not unusual. Her doctor was not wrong to consider the obvious explanations first. The obvious explanations are usually correct. That is why they are the obvious explanations. Numbness in her hands and feet that came and went. Tingling. The kind of sensation that belongs to a dozen different conditions. Vitamin deficiency. Poor circulation. Stress. She was tired, and her skin was changing, and her hands tingled sometimes. None of it was dramatic enough to demand answers. All of it was real. All of it was the arsenic. Working slowly, accumulating in her tissues, in her hair, in her fingernails, where it leaves a specific kind of evidence that forensic toxicologists look for in cases of long-term poisoning. Horizontal white lines across the nails, called Mees lines. Named after a Dutch physician who first described them in 1919. A record of exposure written in keratin. A calendar of contamination that the body keeps without being asked. Linda had them. She did not know what they were. She had never heard of Mees lines. Most people have never heard of Mees lines. Why would they? What finally connected everything was not a doctor, it was a neighbor. A woman named Ruth who had lived in the county her entire life and whose family had farmed the land to properties over for 4 generations. Ruth came to help Linda with a fence repair on a Sunday afternoon, in late spring of the 3rd year. She noticed the spots on Linda's arms while they were working. She did not say anything immediately. She went home. She called Linda that evening. She asked a question. "Have you had your well tested?" Linda said no. Ruth was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "You should do that." She said it in a way that Linda later described as the way someone says something when they already know the answer and they are trying to let you arrive at it yourself. Linda called the county extension office the next morning. A technician came out on Thursday. Results came back the following week. 41 micrograms per liter. Linda sat at the kitchen table and looked at the number for a long time. She thought about the 8 glasses a day. She thought about 3 years. She did the math she did not want to do. She saw a specialist in environmental medicine within 2 weeks. The examination confirmed what the blood and urine tests had already indicated. Elevated arsenic levels in her tissues. The Mees lines documented and photographed. The peripheral neuropathy in her hands and feet formally diagnosed. The specialist was direct with her. She said the damage that had been done was real. She said some of it would resolve over time as the arsenic was cleared from her system and her body was no longer being continuously exposed. She said some of the elevated cancer risk associated with the level and duration of her exposure would not fully resolve. She said it could be managed. She said monitoring was important. She said Linda had done the right thing by finding out when she did, rather than 3 more years from now. Linda asked what she should have done differently from the beginning. The specialist said one thing: test the well before you drink from it. That is all. Just test it. Linda does not live in that house anymore. She sold it with full disclosure. The new owners installed a filtration system certified for arsenic removal before they moved in. The system costs approximately $300. It removes arsenic to below detectable levels. $300. That is the distance between what happened to Linda and what does not have to happen to you. She still lives in the country. She still has a well. She tested it before she drank from it. She tests it every year now. She tells everyone she knows who has a well to do the same thing. Most of them have never thought about it. Most of them have never been told to think about it. There are approximately 43 million people in the United States who rely on private wells for their drinking water. Private wells are not regulated by the Federal Safe Drinking Water Act. Private wells are not inspected by any government agency on any regular schedule. Testing is entirely the responsibility of the owner. Approximately half of private well owners have never tested their water for anything. Arsenic occurs naturally at elevated levels in groundwater across significant portions of the American West and Midwest and New England in parts of the South. It does not announce itself. It does not change the color of the water. It does not change the smell. It does not change the taste. It is present or it is not. And the only way to know which is true is to test. A standard well water test, including arsenic, costs between $30 and $100 depending on where you live. It requires collecting a water sample in a provided container and mailing it to a certified laboratory. The result comes back in approximately 2 weeks, and you will know. One way or the other, you will know. Linda drank 8 glasses a day for 3 years because she thought she had chosen something better. She had chosen something beautiful. She had chosen the country and the quiet and the well and the water that tasted like nothing. She had not chosen the arsenic. Nobody chooses the arsenic, but you can choose to find out whether it chose you. Test the well. Before the first glass. Before the second year. Before the Mees lines appear on your nails, and a neighbor notices the spots on your arms on a Sunday afternoon and asks a question that changes everything. Test it before any of that, because the test is $30 in 3 weeks. And 3 years is a very long time to drink something you did not understand.